I know you're a big collection guy.
Yes.
You like to collect things. You hate collecting things.
Yes, it's a demon.
Love-hate.
It's a demon.
What collection, whether it exists in a way, like whether it's possible or not.
Okay.
What collection, like, would you want to own completely if you could? Like what, like I know it's probably dumb. Maybe it's a dumb question for you because you collect so much, but for someone who doesn't collect, because I don't collect specifically because if I can't own all of it, I don't want to be part of it.
No, I'm with you on that. That's one of the difficulties of having the collecting bug, is because that's sort of part of it. It's like I want to have all this stuff,
right.
But you can't.
Well, there's some things though you could own everything of, right?
I mean,
it matters what collections you're going.
Yes,
towards.
in theory, yes. Like for instance, I within the last couple of years, I completed a collection of Daredevil comics.
Right.
From its initial issue way back in the early 60s, I think 63 or 64, up to current.
But here's my question.
And I never thought that I would be able to finish that collection, but that's attainable in a way that like even I could afford. It costs money.
But do you actually, now this is the part of me that, but do you actually own every Daredevil?
Yes.
Everyone ever made?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's impressive.
Yeah, I'd bust them out and show them to you, but I moved the collection into storage, a nice secure place. Figure it's better than having that here in the house.
Because like to
not every appearance,
right. That I don't care. Yeah, that you can't. Then,
but of the series Daredevil, and
every single one.
All of them. Yeah, everything.
That's cool because that would be like. So you would have to get like spin-off issues that they've made for him and stuff. Like it's like, or it's just all the Daredevil.
All the Daredevil. Like I said, not all of his appearances.
Right. Well,
so
when he just pops up in Spider-Man or something.
Right. Yeah, I don't have all those. I have some. Occasionally I'll track that stuff down, but usually I'm only getting those if they directly cross over with a story that's in the main Daredevil comic. Like sometimes it'll be like, oh, Daredevil does this thing with Iron Man, and then part 2 is in the Iron Man comic.
Okay.
So like
you try to get that because
I've sometimes tried to get those, but I don't go out of my way for that because then that like brings you to levels of insanity that becomes somewhat unobtainable. I have a friend of mine who is a Spider-Man collector, and part of his goal is not just to get all the Spider-Man comics, which in and of itself is
you can't
insane.
imagine, right? Because they kind of split it up into like it started and stopped and started over.
Yeah, there's so many different Spider-Man comics. It's crazy, but he also gets all the appearances, or he tries to.
Wow,
which is nutty. No, I just have all the main Daredevil comics throughout all the years, and then I think all or most of like he would have like a limited series, like a short, like a temporary spin-off series and stuff like that. Like I've gotten those as well, but not just like anytime he's in any comic or anything.
But the question was,
oh right, that's true.
Is there like if you're just trying to think back, like or even not thinking back, could be something from now. Is there something that you either wish you always could collect and you were like, but I can't, because there's just no way we could get them all, or like anything that you have seen and you're like, oh, I'd fucking like, I wish I could have.
I mean, is this like pie in the sky? Like I'm independently wealthy and I can have like a Mustang from every year that they've ever been made.
Yeah. I want to hear like this is your unattained. Yeah, like say you won the lottery, you somehow won $3 billion, and you really just can like spend whatever you want on something.
I would totally have a garage of just like a Ford Mustang from every year, from the first year of production up to
something
current.
Like that, like a
even though they got shitty by the
90s,
but the 80s, early 90s,
the 80s with the
but whatever. Once you start collecting something, you have to have them all. That's
but something like that, you'd have to keep getting it.
Yeah, that's okay. In fact, like, I kind of like that idea. Like my collection of Tolkien calendars, but I have a complete from 1973 to current collection.
Yeah, I remember we went through
Tolkien calendars, and
some of them are amazing.
And one of the fun parts about that is the idea that I get to just keep getting them every year. That's kind of fun. It just, hey, oh great, like I already have the 2024. No, I don't. I'm sorry. I got the 2023 because they come out in the middle of the year, which that part I hate. I mean, I guess, but it's not like I'm super passionate about Mustangs. I use that, like I do. I loved them more so when I was younger. So I would totally have that, but I don't know that would be like my thing. I don't know if I have one. Like,
like think about like, okay, you got all the money in the world and you have this big house and you have like, one room or like warehouse, something that you could be like, hey, let me show you. And somebody walks in and you're like, yeah, I have fucking all of them.
And they would walk
fuck.
into me having purchased Bag End from Peter Jackson with all the props. I'm not sure because it's such a that question could go so many different ways. Like, I collect tabletop role playing game books, Dungeons and Dragons specifically like the era when I was
right,
like most into it and passionate about it and that kind of thing. So like, would I, if I could collect every D&D book? Like, I guess maybe, but there's tons, like I would say like 80-90% of it I'm not passionate about.
Right.
It. So
we'll scratch that one off the list.
So I don't know if like that would count.
I don't think so. I think it has to be something that like you were like, oh fuck, like these are all, like I got them all. It's kind of funny were you struggling with it because in my head you're like you're the person. I don't think I know anyone else that really has like the passion for collecting things like you do. So it's funny because you kind of struggle with that question.
Maybe if I could get every edition of every Tolkien book ever published in all languages or something, then I would be down with that. The thing is that's one of those things where, one, of course, it's too late in life for me to start that. I have a very generous collection of Tolkien books and interesting editions and stuff like that.
That. In fact, what is it? The like Japanese one or whatever?
Yeah, like these are Japanese versions of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Down here, I have Russian editions. Wait, hold on a second. I'll do this. Like, here's one of them for the camera. I have to turn it in a weird way because I guess
that's cool. The Russian ones are cool looking. The covers.
Yeah. I like those. The odd art. So like, like maybe something like that, but I don't know how realistic that is just because of the sheer volume, and it would require something that actually kind of takes the fun out of collecting. And I've done this before, and it does take away the fun, is buying in bulk, like basically buying another collection. And that takes away kind of like finding, a warehouse or finding some other Tolkien collector and he has like 75% of them, boom, just getting them all at once.
But you're thinking, this is a problem. You're not thinking like a rich man. If you're loaded and you have nothing but time, you could be traveling the world just looking like, okay, well, I'm going to the middle of like Africa this month, and I'm gonna go to the library or whatever.
I'm gonna get the Somalian edition.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find the Somalian edition of Lord of the Rings, and it becomes like an Indiana Jones quest for like all these books.
But it wouldn't because one, I like instant gratification is fantastic, and if you have
it's not about finding.
If you have that kind of money.
You just pay someone to like go find them.
Well, no. The hunt is the fun part.
Yeah,
but the hunt is super easy at that point because it's super easy in part because you don't have to do it one at a time. That's one of the things, like when you're collecting stuff and you're just a regular working Joe, you got to get stuff like. You can't just suddenly get tons all at once.
Yeah, you like find something online. You go, oh, okay, like I could probably grab this now, and maybe months later you might see something pop up, kind of thing.
Yeah, you got to space it out because like.
Yeah,
your
you have a budget.
Yeah, exactly. But if you have that kind of money, like I could literally just jump on eBay one day and knock off half the damn list, being like, okay, let me get that,
right.
And then you're just checking off. I mean, collecting in general is just you're just checking off boxes on a list. Right. But then it becomes literally just like get that, because the money is all just there, right?
Right.
So that's why I feel like if you're that filthy rich, you kind of have to do something stupid like every Mustang ever made or something, because that's hard. That's that.
Yeah, that'd be more of a challenge because you can't just buy them online. At some point, you have to go to some place where a guy isn't selling it.
Yeah.
and be like, hey, like I'm looking to get.
Like my Axis and Allies games. And it's not like there's a ton of them, but whatever it is, maybe 15 different editions or something like that. Like, it took me a long time to get those. So it was like one at a time every couple of months, or, like maybe once a year. Like, I might remind myself, like, what was the like, I think I remember for a while I was chasing Axis and Allies Guadalcanal.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because it was always going for like $250 or something.
That's crazy.
And I was like, nope, that's not going to happen. So periodically, I would remember, like, oh yeah, I don't have that one yet. Let me jump on eBay. I would search around, find nothing, and do that periodically until finally one day it was like, oh, that one's under $100.
Yeah, you find it, and it's like and
that's fun,
it's
and exciting. But if you have money to blow, then that's
that part of it. Like when it comes to things like that, if you have the money, then it takes all the fun out of it. You might as well not even own them.
Yeah, it's a non-factor. Like then you have to collect something that's like really difficult to find and rare and scarce. And I'm not necessarily drawn to things for that reason. Like the things that I collect aren't because they're rare or because they're going to be valuable or something. It's because I have a personal connection to them.
That's where we're in common, because I don't really collect stuff, but the things I do collect are only things that it's because I owned it as a kid. And it's something that like I'm like, I remember like spending time with this as a kid, so I want to own that one thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like at one point I thought about, and I didn't end up going through with it, though I do have one little guy upstairs that I got a couple of years ago. I had as a kid the action figures for the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a weird mix because some of the figures were from the cartoon and then some were just like their own thing, but they were all part of the same line. And I didn't have them all, but I had like a good handful of them. I loved them, blah, blah, blah. And a couple of years back, I started thinking like, oh, maybe I should start like collect those. And I bought one of the little guys and realized I don't want to spend money on this. But that would be like a hunt. Because
to find them
and find them in like, and again, like price is always a thing for me. I do my best to bargain hunt as best as I can, or wheel and deal. You remember when I was at the height of like getting
all the D&D stuff.
For people who have been watching the show for a long time, you might remember, or you've seen us refer to the Great Purge.
The Great Purge.
Which, some years back, in the midst of a financial crisis, I sold like most of my collections, like huge tons.
Yeah, I didn't even get to see it. This was before we were hanging out, so I never got to see all the stuff that you have pined over when you were like, I owned all those goddamn things.
And yes, and my Dungeons and Dragons, like most of the stuff I still don't miss. Like my Sega stuff. I grew up with Sega. I had fantastic collections of the Master System and Genesis, and honestly, like, if I had the money to blow, I would probably just re-get complete sets of all that because I just love the way they look on the shelf.
Yeah.
Those clamshell cases, super cool. I love that. Oh, I get such warm nostalgia for that. But the one that really drove me nuts was selling all my Dungeons and Dragons books. I had a really good Dungeons and Dragons collection, and the books meant a lot to me. And I used to actually, even when I wasn't playing, I used to use them. I used to take them down and read them just for pleasure.
Right.
I loved it, but had to sell them. Just because, for financial reasons and all that. And I pined for those for years.
Oh, yeah.
And then finally, and I used to always say, there's no way I'll be able to rebuild my collection back because D&D books have been in demand. They go for a decent amount of money and blah, blah, blah. But I started learning some wheeling and dealing tricks and started like investing myself heavily into doing it. And I actually, in fact, have rebuilt like 95% of that collection and then some, and then some, and then some. Pushed that collection into storage as well. That just, seemed like the safer bet. And that was a lot of fun to put together because there was a lot of hunting involved.
Right.
It was like, I really want to get this one or I need that one.
I remember when you would you'd message me and be like, I found, the blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I might not have a cover or whatever, but I would grab it.
And I would do things where sometimes I would like buy a small collection because it's like, I only need 2 of the books, but I can sell get the 2 that I need and then resell the others back to recoup all my money. And so basically I've got the 2 that I need for free. And like this, I was doing lots of stuff like that. And now like I have a collection of those D&D books where I'm looking at it and I'm like, maybe I should sell them.
So the collection now is almost the same size as the one that you had to sell.
No, it's like 4 or 5 times bigger.
Oh, okay.
No, it dwarfs what I used to
But
have.
the ones you owned originally were yours.
Correct. Yeah. So there is that
So there
little
is
bit.
a little bit of the fact that they're not yours.
Yes, that little bit is
That's
isn't there, and it does take away some of the magic.
I was gonna say that's one of the things that like I said, I don't collect much, but there were certain things that I couldn't that my parents didn't save up in their attic that I was like so mad that I didn't have like that one, and then I had there's a book and the King's Quest 3 box.
Yeah.
That was that was my favorite game. And my dad was like, oh yeah, it's got to be up in the attic. It's got to be up in the attic. And then one day he gave me a taped box like that said like my games. It was like my games in this box. I was like, holy shit, these are my games. Like I'm fine. King's Quest 3 is gonna be in this box. And I opened it up and it was all these games. It was like SimCity 2000 and all these and that one wasn't in there. Like somehow that fucking one wasn't in there, and I'm like, you got to be. So I ended up buying it online right before it got nuts.
Yeah, I remember you
Yeah,
going on
I
that
got it
hunt.
for $45, and now it's like a ridiculous price.
You were fretting about it, and I was just like, dude, just find it and get it. Like,
Yeah.
find.
But the problem is, it's not mine.
Yes.
Like I remember when I went online, I was like, I need the IBM one. I need, I need.
Oh, you
I
didn't
want
even
the Apple.
You didn't get the same edition that you had.
I did. Oh no, I made sure
okay.
to get the exact same one.
Okay.
It even has the sticker,
But I know what you're saying though.
but it's not mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I had little notes in mine and stuff that it's like this is mine. This is mine. Now this is like somebody else's, but it's still like, and it just pisses me off so much.
I agree wholeheartedly. Like a lot of those original Dungeons and Dragons books that I got from like the sets that I grew up with. The and anyone who remembers from that era will know what I'm talking about. The basic and expert and companion sets. This is the red box and the blue box, and the aqua box and the black box and the gold box. Those were my things. Same thing with like Star Frontiers and stuff, which we've played since then, and all that. I have them again, and they make me feel nice and cozy, and I love looking at them and all that stuff. But they're not the ones that I have personal history with. So
isn't that weird?
So yeah, it does make a difference. Like it legitimately does make a difference. Yeah, the only crappy thing is I don't get a chance to enjoy it as much as I would like because, like I said, it's all those books are now in a storage facility, so I have to like go there on a weekend or something and fish out the few that I want to read or look through it at any given time. It's like it's better for security, but it would be nice to actually have them here so I can bust them out for shows like this or whatever. I think that might be part of why after I got rid of all my Sega stuff, like I've kind of been like,
yeah, because it's not that same thing with my Nintendo cartridges. Like I found a couple, and I was so happy. I was like, this is my Zelda. This is my gold. This is my game. This is the one I like beat. But then there were like ones like I wanted Kid Icarus because that was one of my favorite games. But I don't have it anymore, and I'm like, I'll go into a store and see it for $20, and I'm like, it's not mine though.
Yeah, the only one I've repurchased since then is for the Sega Genesis, Might and Magic 2: Gates to Another
Might and
World.
Magic.
Love that series, love that game, but it never had an urge to like re-get the rest of them.
Right.
It just because like I sold that stuff and it's not just because I couldn't recapture the magic though. It's also because the pricing of retro games has gotten stupid.
It's unreal.
Oh, it's ridiculous. But I guess we're getting off the beaten track right now with that. To circle all the way back to your initial question, there's not an answer because collecting, at least for me, there are varied reasons to do it, and I think having unlimited time and money eliminates a lot of those reasons. If it becomes trivial to get the stuff, then part of the reason is gone. So I would have to invent a new collection, and I don't know what that would be. Like I said, like I brought up the Mustangs as an example, and I loved them when I was younger, but I'm not really a car guy these days.
Right.
So it wouldn't necessarily be that. I like musical instruments. I mean, people can't see right now, but we're in a room surrounded by them up on the walls. But I'm not like a gearhead, and I have no pining for like I need a 59 Les Paul or something. That's not important to me. Like it would be cool, but whatever. It's not.
So it's funny.
I'm sorry not to cut you off, but like it would probably be something really obscure and yet cool, like actual used parts from the Apollo space missions.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, something like that.
It would be something akin to that, where like basically museum pieces
Right.
of things that I'm really interested
Which tends
in.
to be what rich people always end up collecting, because it becomes like that's the only thing, like painting, like some ridiculous painting.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way, but that might be part of the reason why they go for stuff like that, is because it's trivial to get normal
Yeah,
stuff.
like if they can own every Nintendo game ever made or something like that, why would I can just buy that, but to get a a Monet or a something.
Yeah. So you were again about to say?
Oh, I was gonna say, so it's funny because in a way, if you were really rich, it would ruin your.
Oh yeah.
It would ruin your like collect, having that want to collect things.
Because part of the collecting bug is, of course, it's the kind of the comfort, whether nostalgia driven or whatever, that having this stuff brings you, but it's the hunt, and it's the unobtainability.
Right.
The fact that you have to hunt for this stuff, and the fact that some things are difficult to obtain, is part of the fun. It's part of the allure. If you could just if you could just walk to the store and get it all, then whatever, who cares? It's not a big deal. It's only when the stuff becomes more difficult to get that it becomes a little more alluring,
Yeah, which is why, going back to the rich people, why they collect that stuff is because they also move on from being able to buy everything to being like, there's only one of these.
Yeah.
And there's only one of these, and I own.
Yeah, exactly. You see that with like rich people collections and stuff too. Like that's part of the selling point for them, is like, only 4 of these were ever manufactured, or
the stamp
like the wealthy toy collectors. Like rather than just collect the toys, they end up getting like the prototype.
Yeah.
That
all things were based upon that one thing.
Yeah, and it's like there's literally only 2 of them, and it was a factory prototype, and they had to get it through a guy who knew the factory guy, and like that kind of that kind of stuff. Or like the comic book collectors with money. They don't just go for the big, high money editions, but the perfect, best versions of those.
This is
editions.
rated 10 for Superman.
Yeah. Like my Daredevil #1. In theory, that's a very valuable comic. However, my version isn't particularly valuable because I was on a budget. I found, I had to find a budget version, and like I restored the cover so it looks really good and all that. But it's like it would not fetch the many thousands that that comic normally would, because I'm like a working class dude. Like,
You're working class stiff.
But if I would, but like, so the rich people, they'll go for like Action Comics #1, which is the first appearance of Superman, Detective Comics 37, the first Batman, that kind of stuff. But it's not even enough for them to be able to get the unobtainables, like, or Amazing Spider-Man #1. It's like the super perfect quality versions. So yeah, like it's a whole different level.
Yeah, it's the Wayne Gretzky buying the Honus Wagner card kind of.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
Yeah. I guess it's stuff like that. That would be, there you go. That's the final answer. Is I would collect every Honus Wagner card ever, so that I'm the only one who has them.
I am the only one, and the upside down stamp, the upside down plane stamp.
Oh yeah, the
It appeared in the Brewster's Millions movie.
That's right,
Brewster's
it did.
Millions, right? Didn't he mail it? That like he bought it,
Yes.
and they were like, "Aha, we got him!" And then he ended up mailing it, so it was.
But right around the same time that we watched that, I had done something, was doing something concerning stamp collecting. I don't remember what. Oh well, whatever. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Show over.
It's over. It's over.
Over. Bye.